The morning sun peeked through the curtains like a curious child, touching Zainab's eyelids gently. She opened her eyes slowly, her breath already sounding like a soft whistle. It was there again, the tight feeling in her chest, like something heavy was pressing against her lungs. She sat up, reached for the blue plastic case beside her pillow, and took out her inhaler. She pressed it to her lips, closed her eyes, and breathed in. One puff, 2 seconds. Hold, exhale. The whistle faded. She stared at the tiny poster above her bed. Your breath is your power. Her mama had written it in blue marker the day she came home from the hospital. Today was Wednesday. That meant assembly and sports and faith. Zainab's stomach tightened harder than her chest. The school compound buzzed with students in neat yellow and green uniforms. Laughter and chatter filled the air like birdsong, except Zainab didn't feel like singing. She stood alone at the edge of the assembly ground, her back straight, but her arms tight across her chest. Her classmates stood in neat lines, but Zainab was behind them. She didn't want to be noticed. She didn't want to cough. The principal's voice crackled over the microphone. Stand straight, hands by your sides. The national anthem began. Zainab tried to sing, but halfway through, she coughed. It started as a tickle and grew like a small storm in her throat. She bent slightly, trying to muffle it. Too late. From the front row, Faith turned. Faith Badmus, class prefect, queen of the sports field, sharp-tongued, sharp-eyed, and never missing a chance to humiliate Zainab. Oh, look, she called out, loud enough for others to hear. Madam Inhaler is at it again. You sure say you know be generator? Sneakers flew like arrows. Zainab's cheeks turned red. She wished the ground would open and swallow her whole. I bet if we open your chest, now whistle will go find inside. More laughter. Even some teachers smiled lightly, shaking their heads. Nobody stopped her. Zainab looked down at her shoes. Dusty, worn, just like how she felt. But she didn't cry. After school, Zainab sat on her small metal bed at home, her back resting against the peeling wall. Her room smelled faintly of menthol and clean clothes. She opened her green journaler, secret long book, and began to write. Today, Faith made everyone laugh at me again. I didn't cry, but sometimes I wonder, will I always be the girl who wheezes? She closed the book just as Mama stepped in from her hospital shift, still in her nurse uniform, her tired eyes lighting up when she saw her daughter. How's my warrior today? Mama asked, placing a small bag of groundnuts in her palm. I don't feel like a warrior, Zainab mumbled. More like a balloon that can't fly. Mama sat beside her, pulling her close. Listen to me, Zai, she said, brushing her daughter's hair gently. Some people fight with fists, others fight with fire. But you fight with breath. Every time you stand tall and keep breathing, you win. Zainab leaned into her. But no one sees that. Mama smiled, her eyes soft and warm. One day, they will. And they'll wish they'd listened sooner. Thursday, PE day. The sun blazed like fire above the dusty school field. Students lined up, stretching and giggling, excited for relay races and football. Zainab sat quietly on the bench, her water bottle beside her, inhaler clipped to her waist, like a badge no one respected. Coach Bala barked orders. Girls, 10 push-ups, let's go. Faith, in her shiny sneakers and perfect ponytail, bounced like a gazelle. She saw Zainab sitting and shouted, "Excused again, Abby, anti-weak lungs." Some laughed. One girl whispered, "Why does she even come to school?" Coach looked at Zainab, sighed and waved his hand. Let her be. She's not built for this. Zainab's heart burned hotter than the sun. Later, as they moved to the skipping area, Faith passed behind Zainab and sprayed something from her pink perfume bottle. A mist of sweet-smelling smoke wrapped around Zainab's face. She gasped. Her chest tightened instantly. Wheezing, whistling, panic. She reached for her inhaler quick, puff, hold, breathe. Faith giggled. "Oops, did I break your lungs?" This time, nobody laughed. A quiet hush followed. Even the coach blinked in shock but said nothing. Zainab stood shakily, turned away, and walked off the field. That night, Zainab sat on the floor of her room, her journal open. Maybe I am weak. Maybe they're right. Maybe I shouldn't even try. Tears smudged the ink. The words swam on the page like broken thoughts. Mama walked in, saw the page, and knelt beside her. She didn't speak. She just wrapped her arms around her daughter and let her cry. Then she whispered, "Do you know why I caught the brave?" Zainab shook her head. "Because even when it's hard to breathe, you don't give up. That's the kind of brave no one teaches. It's already inside you." Zainab sniffed, looking into her mother's kind eyes. "You don't need to shout to be strong," Mama said. "Sometimes you just need to keep breathing until the world needs your voice." Zainab closed her eyes. She would wait. She would breathe. And one day she would show them. The sun was blazing high over Government Secondary School, Kaduna. Sweat trickled down foreheads. The dusty red field looked like a frying pan under the sky. Zainab stood at the edge of the field, inhaler in hand, quietly watching her classmates run laps. Her eyes followed them like shadow silent, soft, unnoticed. The PE teacher blew her whistle sharply. "Zainab, why are you standing there like tree? Join the warm-up." Zainab hesitated. Her heart was already beating fast, not from running, but from fear. "I have my inhaler with me, Ma," she whispered. But the doctor said. Before she could finish, Faith rolled her eyes and marched over like a lioness owning the field. "Madam Siki, Siki," Faith said loud enough for everyone to hear. "Do you want us to run your for you too?" A few kids snickered. Some looked down, pretending not to see. Zainab's fingers gripped her inhaler tighter. "I'm not pretending," she said softly. Faith stepped closer. "Then breathe your way through PE like the rest of us." Then, with a sly smile, Faith sprayed her lavender-scented body mist in the air right into Zainab's face. The scent was sweet, too sharp, Zainab gasped. Her lungs felt like they were filling with hot smoke. She stumbled back, coughing, wheezing. Eh, it was just perfume, Faith laughed. Is this how you survive life? Zainab turned away, tears slipping quietly down her cheeks. She didn't want them to see. She didn't want anyone's pity. But somewhere inside her, a quiet storm was forming. That evening, Zainab sat on her tiny bed, her school bag lying like a wounded soldier beside her. Her asthma journal was open. She held her pen, but no words came. Her mind was heavy, heavier than her breath. The page stared at her, empty, until finally she scribbled, "Maybe they're right. Maybe I really am just weak." She stared at the words. They didn't feel like her, but they had come from her hand. Her mother walked in quietly. Nurse Aisha was wearing her scrubs and a face of quiet worry. She sat beside Zainab and touched her hair gently. "You look like someone fighting a battle no one can see." Zainab sniffed. "What if I'm not strong, Mama? What if I'll always be the girl who can't even breathe like the rest?" Mama smiled. "Baby, you have something most of them don't. You understand every breath you take. You respect it. That's power." Zainab didn't reply. Mama continued. "Courage doesn't always shout. Sometimes it breathes, quietly, steadily, until the world listens." She handed Zainab a new pink scarf. "You'll need this tomorrow, for your lungs and for your confidence." The next day came wrapped in normal. Students buzzed through the hallways. Lunch break had begun. In the science block, the old building stood quiet. No teacher was inside. Most had gone to the staff room for their jollof rice. But Faith, being Faith, had other plans. She led a group of friends into the lab, giggling. "Come, let's mix vinegar with soda. I saw it on TikTok. It makes foam like volcano." "Are you sure?" one girl asked, biting her nails. "Relax. I'm the science queen," Faith grinned, flipping on a Bunsen burner. But she didn't check the connection properly. Gas hissed out like a snake. A spark from a wire left dangling from the wall flickered, then caught. Whoosh! A small flame popped, then a second. Then boom! The shelf collapsed. Glass shattered. A curtain caught fire. Screams filled the air. Fire! Fire! Outside, the noise echoed down the corridor. Students ran in every direction. Some shouted, others froze. Zainab was walking back from the library, pink scarf around her neck, when she saw the smoke curling like black snakes from the science lab window. Her legs froze, her breath hot. Inside, through the smoke, she saw a blur fade, coughing and stuck behind fallen shelves. 2 other girls were curled under a desk, screaming for help. Zainab's heart beat loud. Boom, boom, boom. Her lungs tightened with fear. But then her mother's words echoed in her mind. Sometimes courage breathes until the world listens. Zainab pulled her scarf up over her nose, held her inhaler tight, and stepped forward. The bell had not rung yet. The corridors were quiet, except for faint giggles from behind the science lab door. Inside, Faith and two of our loyal friends, Joy and Rita, were messing around with beakers and matches. "Let's see if this thing bubbles again," Faith teased, lighting the Bunsen burner under a strange blue liquid. It fizzed, then hissed, then pop. A sharp spark leapt out, then another. The flame suddenly caught the edge of a paper chart hanging nearby. Wait, what's happening?" Rita shrieked. Flames danced like wild spirits. Smoke began curling upward, black and angry. Within seconds, it rolled into the hallway like a dark tide. Students screamed and scattered. Chairs toppled, books dropped, feet slapped the floor. Fear moved faster than fire. And in the middle of it all, Zainab froze. She was walking back from the library, a novel tucked under her arm, when the alarmless chaos broke out. She smelled it first. That sharp, terrifying burn. Then the smoke came crawling toward her gray fingers, stretching across the floor, climbing up the walls. Her chest tightened, not from asthma yet, but from something deeper. Fear. A teacher shouted, "Evacuate! Everyone out, now!" Zainab turned to run, but just as she did, a younger boy yelled, "Some girls are still inside, in the lab." Her feet stopped moving. The smoke thickened, and in that moment, something inside her stirred. A voice, faint but strong, echoed in her memory. Courage doesn't shout, it breathes. Her mother's words. Zainab dropped her book. She took a deep, careful breath and pulled her scarf up over her nose. Then, she ran toward the fire. The lab door was half open, smoke pouring from it like steam from a giant pot. Inside, it looked like a nightmare, flames flickering, papers burning, and shadows moving in panic. Zainab ducked low, just like her mother had taught her. Stay beneath the smoke. Breathe slow. Don't panic. Her eyes stung. Her throat felt scratchy. But she pushed forward. "Hello, is anyone here?" she cried. "Zainab?" came a coughing voice. There, crouched behind a desk, were Faith, Rita, and Joy's wide cheeks streaked with soot. "You came?" Faith's voice cracked, more shocked than grateful. Zainab nodded quickly. "You need to follow me. Now, on your hands and knees. Don't stand up. The smoke is thicker up there." Rita sobbed. "I can't, my leg's stuck." Zainab's heart pounded, but she didn't show it. She crawled over, tugging at a fallen stool, pinning Rita's leg. It was heavy. Her breath was quickening. The air felt thinner. She looked at Faith. "Help me." Faith hesitated, but then pushed the stool aside. The leg came free. Rita whimpered, but nodded. They could move. "Okay," Zainab said firmly. "Hold each other's shirts. I'll go first. Just follow my voice." They crawled like little ants escaping a flood. The smoke roared around them. The fire hissed and spat like an angry monster. The heat was rising. Zainab coughed. Her chest squeezed. But she kept crawling, kept calling out. "Almost there. Just a little more." Then a crash. A ceiling tile dropped behind them. They screamed. Faith yanked Rita forward. "Keep going," she shouted. Zainab could see the exit now. The light from the hall was flickering through the haze, but her legs were shaking. Her breath was fast, too fast. She reached for her inhaler. It was gone. Zainab gasped. Her throat burned like dry firewood. The room spun. Her fingers trembled. No, not now. Zainab, Faith cried, seeing her stop. Zainab, we're almost out. What's wrong? I need, she whispered. My inhaler. She pointed behind her, where it had slipped from her pocket, and lay near the burning table, barely visible. Time froze. Faith looked at it, then at Zainab, the girl she had called weak, useless, sickly. Was Zainab had come for her. Without another word, Faith crawled back into the smoke. Her hands darted under the heat and grabbed the inhaler like it was treasure. She rushed back, shoved it into Zainab's hand. Zainab clicked. Psst. She breathed. Once, twice, the word calmed. With the last strength in her, she led them through the door into the hallway, into fresh air. They fell onto the floor, coughing and crying. A teacher ran over, water, blankets, sirens, but in that quiet moment, no sound was louder than the look between Zainab and Faith. No words were needed. For the first time, they understood each other. The school was different the next morning. Not because the walls were burned or the science lab was now locked with red and white tape number. It was different because something had changed in the air. Whispers floated down the hallways like birds flying without direction. Did you hear what Zainab did? She went back into the fire with her asthma. She saved Faith and two others. Zainab sat alone on the edge of her class bench, fingers trembling on her lap. She kept her inhaler close tucked like a secret weapon in her pocket. Her chest still felt tight and her lungs were sore, but something inside her felt stronger. A light, quiet strength. The morning assembly bell rang. Everyone filed out onto the dusty schoolyard. The sun was bright, too bright, like it knew something big was about to happen. The principal, a tall man with a voice like rolling thunder, stepped onto the stage. He adjusted his glasses, cleared his throat, and looked at the sea of students. Yesterday, something terrible happened in this school, but something wonderful happened too. Zainab's heart beat faster. Was he talking about her? Her fingers tightened around her skirt. We almost lost 3 of our own, but because of one brave girl who acted with courage, calmness, and wisdom, they are here today. Gasps, heads turned, all eyes slid to her. Zainab froze. Zainab Suleiman, come forward. The world became silent. No laughter, no mocking, not even a whisper, just the crunch of her shoes on gravel as she stepped up to the stage. Her knees wobbled, her palms were sweaty, but her spine was straight. The principal placed his hand gently on her shoulder. You are a hero. A few claps, then more. Then the whole school erupted into thunderous applause. And just when Zainab thought it was over, Faith stepped forward. Her arm was bandaged. Her voice shook. but she stood tall, facing everyone. I want to say something. A hush fell again. The principal nodded and stepped aside. Faith's eyes found Zainab's. They held them, like an apology that started deep inside the heart. I used to laugh at Zainab. I used to call her weak. I thought strength was running fast, shouting loud, being the best, but I was wrong. She turned to the crowd. In the fire, I froze. I couldn't think. I was screaming. But shattered girl I made fun of, she walked into the flames for me. She was strong, not me. You could hear a pin drop. "I'm sorry, Zainab," Faith said. Her voice cracked. "And I thank you for saving my life." A tear slipped down Zainab's cheek. She had imagined this moment 100 times in her dreams, but never like this, never this real. They hugged awkwardly at first, then tighter, and the entire school clapped again. Some students even cried. The teachers nodded, their faces softening. That afternoon, Zainab was called into the principal's office. But this time, it wasn't for punishment or excuses. "We'd like you to be the student safety ambassador," he said with a proud smile. "Help us teach others what you knew, how to stay calm, how to breathe." Zainab blinked. She didn't know what to say, but her heart spoke for her. "Yes, sir, I'd love to." Later, she stood under the same mango tree where she used to hide and eat lunch alone. Now, students came to her with smiles, with questions. Even Faith joined her. They sat together, laughing softly like old friends just discovering each other. Zainab took out her asthma journal and wrote one last line at the bottom of the page. "They called me weak, but when the world was on fire, I was the one who could still breathe." She looked up at the sky. The clouds floated gently, like puffs of breath in the blue. And this time, Zainab smiled not because she had to, but because she finally believed she was enough. The story teaches us that true strength isn't about being loud or popular, but about staying calm, kind, and brave, even when it's hard. It reminds us never to judge others by their challenges, because what seems like a weakness can become a powerful gift. Forgiveness, courage, and standing up for yourself with grace are signs of real maturity. Heroes don't need capes, they just need heart. And most importantly, no one should ever be ashamed of who they are, because our differences can be the very thing that makes us extraordinary. Thanks for watching. Please support us through subscribe, like, and comment. Thanks.